Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing some Blue Eyes White Dragon test hands. So I'm really excited to show you guys this deck because we just recently got True Light in the Megatons, and it is an absolutely crazy card for this deck. It fixes a lot of the issues that the deck had, being able to search your spells and traps that specifically list Blue Eyes, and even working like a Monster Reborn to special summon your Blue Eyes from the graveyard and from the hand is just really amazing for this deck. I love the way the deck plays, and I am really excited to show you guys some of the combos. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name searched in every single video, getting a signed cards mail, and even getting to your requested deck profile every single month you're a patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So I'm really excited to show you guys what this deck can do, because it's changed a lot from my previous build, where I was playing a lot more fusion focused build in the previous one. This one is very much so more of a synchro build and more of an XZ build. It's really amazing what the deck can do, and I'm really excited to actually show you guys what it can pull off. And you guys want to check out the updated build, you can always check it out in the description below of every test hand video. We have it right down there in the description if you guys want to check that out. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with our deck, because this deck just is so consistent now with True Light. As long as you can get to True Light, which we have plenty of ways to get to it in this deck, you're going to be totally fine. And even if you don't get to it, you still have a bunch of 3,000 attack point, basically Blue Eyes that you're going to throw out on the field to be able to defend you until you can get into that really amazing card. And we even play it as a 3-of in this deck, so you're really probably going to get to it. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for our first test hand. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of Trade-In. True Light right there off the bat, we're fine. Melody of Awakening Dragons, Blue Eyes Alternative White, and an Effect Veiler, which is pretty good right off the bat. We have a copy of Trade-In to get us a draw. We have Melody to recover later on if we need to. And we have a copy of Alternative White to get us into some really good plays once we get our Blue Eyes to our hand. So I'm probably going to want to save the copy of the Effect Veiler and the copy of True Light in our hand. So we're basically going to use these as our playmakers for the turn. So you have a couple of different options here. You can actually discard the Blue Eyes Alternative White for either one of these cards to get you a search or get you draw 2. I would probably just use it for the draw 2, because one of the 2 cards that I draw I'm going to use for a copy of the Melody. So we're going to draw into a copy of Bingo Machine Go and another copy of Alternative White. So at that point I probably would discard the Effect Veiler, because the other 2 are just so good to be able to keep, and add from my deck to my hand Blue Eyes White Dragon and another copy of another card that has 3,000 or more attack and 2,500 or less defense. It kind of is up to you what you want to grab. I would probably grab a Chaos Dragon Levenair or the copy of our Chaos Max, which is a really good tech card in this particular deck to be able to grab, because it does have the 4,000 attack and 0 defense, which meets the requirements to grab that card. So at this point, you're going to activate the copy of your Bingo Machine Go, because this card is a great search card for the deck. It has the ability that you can reveal any 3 cards from your deck that meets at least one of the credentials listed below. It's either a Blue Eyes monster or spell or trap that specifically lists Blue Eyes in its text. So you list any 3 cards that meets the requirements. So we're going to go ahead and reveal a copy of our, let's see, what do we want to grab? We want to grab Chaos Form because it specifically lists the copy, and then we're going to reveal 2 copies of True Light, and we're going to basically randomize it by rolling a dice, which is going to help us out a lot, because I really would love to get to that Chaos Form for the additional plays of summoning Chaos Max during the first turn. So these all consist of saying Blue Eyes in their text, so you can reveal these in your deck. So we're going to go ahead and roll for it. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like we do in the live duels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to grab True Light to our hand, which is totally fine, because having 2 of them in the hand, we're going to get a lot of different plays with that particular card, especially being able to set cards that specifically list Blue Eyes in the text. So we're going to go ahead and set 2 cards. Our opponent is not going to know that we have a second one. Reveal the Blue Eyes, special summon the Alternative White, and then pass against the opponent. It's totally fine just to set up with a copy of Alternative, because we have the copy of True Light that we can then special summon out the Blue Eyes to our side of the field, or be able to set a card that specifically lists Blue Eyes in its text that's a spell or trap. So once we do that, we have already summoned out a really good card. We're going to let our opponent go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and activate one of the 2 copies of True Light that we have, and be able to set to our side of the field a card that specifically lists Blue Eyes White Dragon, which I'm actually going to grab Chaos Form and set the copy of Chaos Form to my field, because because it does actually list Blue Eyes White Dragon and Dark Magician in its text, which is super cool for that particular card. So once we go ahead and set that to our side of the field, if our opponent does out this card, we're going to go ahead and draw into the next turn, which is an ultimate creature of destruction. So we have some really insane plays that we can go into. We can special summon out the Blue Eyes from our hand. You know, actually your copy of your alternative white has the ability that it basically counts as Blue Eyes White Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard, so you can use your copy of your True Light to special summon it back to your side of the field. We can then use the copy of our Chaos form that's set to be able to send our Blue Eyes White Dragon from our hand to the graveyard to be able to special summon out our copy of Chaos Max and set the copy of the ultimate creature of destruction face down just to give us some additional plays. Now at this point you can attack your opponent if they have anything that has 0 defense points that's in defense mode. You can swing through, or you can actually pop a card on their field with your copy of your alternative white, which is really, really good. So you have all these really good plays, and then during your opponent's turn, you can just bring back your copy of your Blue Eyes that you got rid of anyway. So let's go ahead and go into the next test hand. As you guys can see, the deck is very, very fun to play. It's very nostalgic and can summon out the amazing Blue Eyes Chaos Max in a regular Blue Eyes deck that's not completely focused around it, which is really amazing. I really love that you can actually do that and include it as more of a tech card in the deck to be able to play. If you don't want to play it, you don't have to. You can drop it for more hand traps if you want to. This is kind of an all-in kind of deck, which is why I built it this way, and it's super fun to be able to summon out all those copies of Blue Eyes on your side of the field. So let's go ahead and shuffle up the deck and see what we can do for the next test hand. So we're going to go ahead and cut the deck really quick, and we're going to draw. We're going to draw into a copy of the Blue Eyes Alternative White, a copy of Return of the Dragon Lords, the White Stone of Ancients, Trade In, and a copy of Melody. So this is a very, very good going first hand because you have all sorts of different plays that you can go into. You can actually just discard this again, but this time discard it for Melody, because then at this point you can actually search your deck for a copy of Blue Eyes White Dragon and a other copy of Alternative that we have in the deck, because you're going to be able to grab that card immediately to be able to go in for some additional plays. So now at this point you can actually reveal it and special summon out your copy of your Alternative, and then normal summon out your copy of the White Stone of Ancients, synchro summoning both of these together, going a little bit of a different route to summon out your copy of your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, which is a fantastic card to throw on your side of the field because it can tag itself out to give you more plays. Then you can use your copy of Trade In to be able to go in and draw 2 more cards off the top of the deck, which is another copy of Melody and a copy of Sage. But since we already normal summon the copy of the Ancients, you've already used your normal summon, but it's really good to have set up for the next turn because with the Return of the Dragon Lords and the Sage, you can actually get another synchro play or link play if you want it, which is really helpful. So at this point, you have the copy of the White Stone of Ancients in the graveyard, and has the ability, if this card was sent there this turn to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Blue Eyes monster from your deck, and you can banish this card from your graveyard and then target a Blue Eyes monster in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. But during the end phase, we can special summon a Blue Eyes card, which is going to help us out a lot to get another Blue Eyes monster on the field, and this card goes really well with one of our really cool cards that got released back in the Legendary Duelist Season 2 in the form of Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon. And this card has a really, really cool interaction with the White Stone of Ancients, because since it was special summoned during the end phase, you get its effects. That has the ability that if this card is special summoned, you can add a ritual spell or polymerization from your deck to your hand. So we're going to go ahead and resolve that effect to be able to add a ritual spell from our deck to our hand, which is going to be our copy of our Chaos form that we're going to add right away. Now, it has another effect that during the end phase, you can also resolve a second effect that you can also, during the end phase, add 1 level 8 or higher dragon monster from your deck to your hand, which is going to grab us a copy of our Blue Eyes Chaos Max to go ahead and have that monster in the hand set up for the following turn to go in for an OTK piece, which is really helpful for this particular deck. It also has the ability that you have to have Blue Eyes White Dragon in the graveyard to activate and resolve this effect, which you actually have technically 3 Blue Eyes in the graveyard to activate and resolve that effect, which is really good just to be able to get those cards from our deck to our hand. You can also banish it from the graveyard, and then all other level 8 or higher monsters you control gain 1,000 attack points. And you can only use each effect of this card once per turn, and you can only activate it while you control Blue Eyes in the graveyard. So you have that really good play that you basically got your ritual spell and your ritual monster, almost like a pre-prep of rights effect off of your copy of your Abyss Dragon. which is really good. So your opponent's going to go into their turn, and you can actually go ahead and tag this monster out for your copy of your Azure Eyes once they target this card, which is going to protect your other dragon monsters and your copy of itself from being destroyed by card effects, which is really good just to be able to do that. And then during your standby phase, once you draw for the next turn, you can actually special summon back your copy of your Blue Eyes White Dragon to your side of the field, which is really helpful because it's a normal monster to be able to go in for even more plays. So at this point, you can use your copy of your Melody to be able to discard your copy of the White Stone of Legend to be able to add from your deck to your hand your other cards, like your copy of the Blue Eyes White Dragon and a copy of our alternative white, which is just going to get us more monsters on our side of the field and just help out the deck a lot. So at this point, you can reveal and special summon, and then once you do that, you can actually use your copy of Chaos Form if you want to, or you can make an XZ play right here if you'd like to do that instead, but we haven't normal summoned, so you can actually normal summon out your copy of Sage with Eyes of Blue and go into some really insane plays because we have so many spells in the graveyard. I'm actually going to show you how you can actually make a copy of Access Code with this field by just normal summoning out Sage and having 2 monsters in our field and 3 spells in the graveyard, which is really cool. So we're going to go ahead and activate the copy, or normal summon the copy of Sage, and once we normal summon the Sage, you can actually search a copy of Effect Veiler, which is just going to give us an additional negation, and then at this point, we're going to go ahead and link summon. We're going to link these 2 monsters away, and once we link these 2 away, we're going to summon out a copy of Needle Fiber. Needle Fiber is going to have its ability to special summon to our side of the field a tuner from the deck, which is going to be the White Stone of Ancients that we're going to special summon. Once we special summon that card, you can then link these 2 away. If you actually special summon out a copy of your Sage, excuse me, because it requires a spellcaster. So link or summon these 2 onto your side of the field. Don't summon the Ancient, summon out Sage. Link these 2 monsters together, and once you do, you can actually summon out Selene, the Queen of the Master Magicians. And since you have so many spells in the graveyard at this point, you have 1 Melody, you have a trade-in, and you have another Melody in the graveyard, you can actually use her effect. Even if you wanted to, you could ritual summon first by sending the Blue Eyes from your hand to the graveyard before you even went into that card, and you could actually get this card on your side of the field or make an XZ play to clear out your board a little bit to give you more plays. So once you summon out her to your side of the field and you have all those spells in your graveyard, she's actually going to get tokens on her side, or on her spell counters on her, which is going to help out a lot because she basically gets spell counters for every spell card in the graveyard. Because when it's link summon, you get to play spell counters on it on the field and graveyard for every spell that's in your graveyard and your opponent's graveyards, which is really good. So we're just going to put 3 on her because it doesn't matter how many we have, which is really important to keep in mind. It doesn't super matter how many you actually put on her, as long as you have 3 to be able to revive back your copy of Sage. So we're going to go ahead and use the copy of Sage, put this card on the field, and then link both of these away for your copy of Access Code, which you can actually target her in the graveyard to be able to give you 3. So now you have a double pop with your copy of Sage to actually use with the copy of the Needle Fiber and the copy of your Selene. So you can actually banish both of them from the graveyard to give you 2 pops, and you have a 5,300 attack point monster. And you can also use your copy of Chaos Form now or before, it doesn't really matter, to be able to summon out your copy of your Blue Eyes Chaos Max. You can then use your copy of Return of the Dragon Lords if you want to bring back that copy of Blue Eyes that you actually sent to the graveyard to be able to have a field that looks a little bit like this. And you can even make some XZ plays if you want to go into some really cool plays like your copy of number 97 or your copy of Dingirsu to give you even more advantage to get rid of cards. So you have this really insane play, and you have even protection from destruction with your copy of your Return of the Dragon Lords for your dragon monsters, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead into the next test hand. As you guys can see, it is very consistent to summon out Chaos Max. I really love how consistent it is to throw that card out on your side of the field, because it's such a good card in this deck. And how easy is it to actually summon Access Code? Basically having 3 spells in the graveyard and a Sage, you're going to be able to go into it. It's really amazing and really a great card to actually summon in this particular deck. You can summon other Link 4s if you're trying to do it on a budget that require 2 monsters, which is totally an option for you guys if you want to. But summoning out Access Code is just so good to clean up games. So let's go ahead and shuffle up the deck and see what we can do do for the next one. So we're going to go ahead and draw our hand. We're going to go ahead and draw a copy of Trade-In, a copy of True Light, the White Stone of Ancients, a copy of our Nebula Dragon, and Return of the Dragon Lord. So we're going to go ahead and use both of these cards to be able to draw two, because we're going to really need to get a copy of Blue Eyes in our hand. So we're going to get a copy of Sage and a copy of the White Stone of Ancients. So you look at this hand and you're like, uh-oh, we don't have a Blue Eyes. But you do. You can actually normal summon out the copy of Ancients, discard this, and actually summon out your copy of your Blue Eyes White Dragon, because the copy of Sage lets you target an effect monster you control, send it to the graveyard of you, special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck. So we're just going to summon out a regular Blue Eyes monster, since we don't have alternative, or we don't have an alternative in the graveyard, and we don't have a copy of our Blue Eyes in the graveyard either. So our copy of our Abyss Dragon is not going to super play out with this particular field. So we're just going to summon out a copy of the regular Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is totally fine, because you need that card on your side of the field. Set the copy of True Light face down, and then you can use the copy of, during the end phase, your copy of your Stone of Ancients to be able to bring out another Blue Eyes White Dragon from the deck. You can summon your copy of Abyss Dragon, but it's not going to come in very handy. I mean, it will come in handy now because you actually have the copy of Blue Eyes on the field, because it counts if it's on the field or in the graveyard. So we're going to use this card's effect, again, like we did before, to be able to grab the Chaos Form first, and then we're going to actually grab the copy of Chaos Max as well, which is just really good to be able to do, because you can add that ritual spell plus that ritual monster, because you can add a level 8 or higher dragon monster during the end phase, and when it's special summoned you get a search as well of the copy of the ritual spell, which is really good to be able to just grab both of those cards right off the bat during the end phase, so you can have this really, really good field. You also have True Light set, so you can actually use that card during your opponent's turn to set a card that specifically lists Blue Eyes White Dragon in it, which we're actually just going to set a copy of our Ultimate Creature of Destruction, just to give us a little bit of protection. Is really nice, and it comes in very, very handy, and just getting these two monsters on the field, you have an ideal setup. Because if you go into the next turn, you're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of Sage, and you don't even have to summon the Sage. You can go in for a really easy play. If your opponent has a monster on the field that's in attack position that has 1,000 or less attack points, you can actually overlay both of these cards on your side of the field to go into a copy of your number 97. And then once you go into number 97, you can basically just detach a material from your number 97 and then summon out both to your side of the field, the number 38 and number 100, and then use one of them to summon the other one, which is your copy of your number 100, detaching a material, making this card go all the way up to 9,000, because there is 9 ranks currently on the field, which is really, really good. You can then use the copy of the True Light to actually bring back your copy of your Abyss Dragon, because it's a Blue Eyes monster, and it counts as a, or it actually doesn't count as a Blue Eyes, so you can actually detach it vice versa, where you can actually grab your copy of Blue Eyes with your True Light, which is going to help us out even more, because we have the Ultimate Creature of Destruction set, and you have the copy of the Return of the Dragon Lords as well, which is going to get us even more plays later on. At this point, you can normal summon out the copy of Sage. Sage is going to get you a search of a tuner monster, so you can actually search out a copy of an Effect Veiler just to give you a backup play if your opponent does go through this turn. It's just going to give you more advantage. And then at this point, if you go into the attack with this monster, you can then during main phase 2 synchro these together for a Spirit Dragon, just to give you some additional plays on your side of the field for protection for all sorts of different crazy stuff that your opponent might throw at you. So let's go ahead and do one more quick test hand to see what we can do. Because as you guys can see, the deck is super fun. It does super crazy stuff to the field. Being able to special summon out all those copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon to your field is just super cool. And even summoning out Chaos Max, it just feels so nostalgic to play Chaos Max in an actual Blue Eyes deck, because we really couldn't before. I played it in Incantations. I played it in a lot of different variants, but you never had actually been able to like really go in with a Blue Eyes deck that's just playing like Sage, Stones, and all stuff like that. Like you can in some builds, but the Incantations just work so much better. But with the Abyss Dragon, it just makes it so easy to actually summon. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for one last test hand. We're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of Melody, Sage, Trade-In, Poly, and a copy of our White Stone. So you have really easy plays here. You can use the copy of Poly with the Melody to get us a search. So we're going to go ahead and grab from the deck a Blue Eyes, and a copy of Alternative White. You usually are going to grab the copy of Blue Eyes and Alternative White with this particular combo. And then at this point, you can actually use the copy of the White Stone of Ancients, normal summon that out to your side of the field. And then if you want to, you can use the copy of Sage, or you can do it a little bit different. If you want to go a little bit more defensive play, you can. You can special summon out the copy of Alternative White by revealing the Blue Eyes, synchro summon these two monsters together, and summon out your copy of Spirit, and then use your copy of Trade In together with your copy of the Blue Eyes White Dragon to draw 2, which is a little bit more defensive of a play in the long run of things, because then at this point you can still special summon out the Abyss Dragon to your side of the field, and since we have a Blue Eyes in the graveyard, you're going to add that copy of Chaos Form and Chaos Dragon to your hand all over again, which is really good because we're already set up, but you have a little bit more defensive play because of the Spirit Dragon stopping graveyards, and being able to tag out into an Azure Eyes is just really good. The other cool thing is if you have True Light on your side of the field, you can actually go into a copy of Stardust Spark and protect your copy of True Light from being destroyed by card effects, which is pretty cool. So I think that's going to do it for this one, guys. You guys can see that this deck is really amazing. I really love the way that True Light has fixed this particular build, because you can go in for all sorts of different plays. Being able to go into Access Code Talker with just having something as simple as this plus any 3 spells is just absolutely insane. Having any monster plus a Sage is just really good. Being able to bring back your Blue Eyes every single turn is just really cool too, with your copy of your True Light, and just having all those different amazing Blue Eye spells at the touch of a Bingo Machine Go is just really, really good. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.